Winter celebrations are popular across the world, with Christmas dominating much of the Western tradition. It's a winning recipe of things we love: friends, family, gift-giving, singing, feasting, partying, and more. The Romans too celebrated Christmas as far back as the 4th century AD. However, before that, they had their own winter holiday, which honestly blows the stockings off our own tradition. It was a week-long Mardi Gras-style street festival, fueled by endless drinking, where slaves became masters and fools were crowned king. You had all your classic holiday-style caroling and gift-giving, though far, far naughtier, with a healthy dose of ancient blackjack and hookers sprinkled on top. This was the festival of Saturnalia, Rome's awesome pagan Christmas. In Rome, the holiday of Saturnalia started out humbly as an agricultural festival set around the winter solstice in December, when the people would collect their last harvest of the year. As they concluded this work, they would mark the occasion by honoring Saturn. This would be done at the temple of the harvest god at the foot of the Capitoline Hill. Here, Rome's priests would gather at the head of the population, with the other upper classes wearing their best togas and the plebeians wearing their finest tunics. A parade of bulls, the largest of the year, would then be brought in and sacrificed. The event was carried out under the watchful eye of Saturn himself. The way this worked is the priests would actually bring with them a statue of the god bound in wool. As the ceremonies began, they would ritualistically unwrap the statue and place it on a couch. Symbolically, this represented the idea of rebirth, where Saturn would appear like a newborn child springing from the womb in the 10th month. Once upon his couch, the god would then be able to partake in the feasts which followed. For the remainder of the day, all forms of work and public business would be suspended. Finally, the day would come. It was December 17th. Starting in the early hours of the morning, people across Rome would awake and begin to stream into the Forum, eager to secure the best spots and celebrate the time-honored tribute to Saturn. Once settled, they waited with bated breath. Soon, their patience would be rewarded by a low rumble that would begin to grow and grow until, in the distance, its source was revealed. A grand parade was making its way through the streets of Rome. At its head were the priests and senate, and behind them a seemingly endless line of bulls. This procession made its way past the throngs of onlookers until eventually coming to a stop before the Temple of Saturn. For 7 days, people partied in a carnival-like atmosphere akin to a New Orleans Mardi Gras. Everyone was encouraged to join in on the fun, and sleep was in short supply. Practice of gift-giving, which took place throughout the week. The poet Martial writes about individual, personalized gifts with small greeting cards to go with them, and even alludes to a secret Santa-style form of gift-giving that was popular. These ancient Roman presents could be anything: musical instruments, writing tablets, boxes of hobby supplies, beauty products, toothpicks, tableware, exercise equipment, weapons, or even a well-bred pig. As one might imagine, the tremendous popularity of Saturnalia ensured that it lived on for centuries. This trend was further propelled because, unlike many other Roman festivals, the Saturnalia was not tied to the city of Rome itself, and therefore gained traction across the empire. After all, winter celebrations are a universal tradition which transcend borders, especially when they involve the winning combination of feasting, drinking, and partying. Such was the popularity of Saturnalia that when Christianity rose to dominance in the 4th century AD, the pagan holiday would be co-opted rather than cancelled. It appears that this is one of the reasons Christmas was set just a few days after Saturnalia on the 25th instead of the 17th, and maintained many of the same customs.
Saturnalia is an ancient Roman festival celebrating the god Saturn. Saturn was associated with agriculture, and so the festival celebrated the end of the planting season when farmers could relax and enjoy the fruit of their labor. The festival was held in mid-December around the time of the winter solstice. It lasted about a week, ending around December 25th. Notable characteristics of the festival was the easing of some social norms and slaves having the temporary freedom to say and do as they like. Several Christmas traditions have been directly influenced by Saturnalia celebrations, including the exchanging of gifts, decorating homes with greenery and lights, and having elaborate feasts.
What is this saying? It's saying that Christmas is from pagan roots. Christmas was around December 25th because that was what the pagans called their time of Saturnalia, the worship of Tammuz. Nimrod was also called Saturn. So the festival of Saturnalia was a festival in December 25th in which the pagans celebrated the birth of the sun god Tammuz. So they took a pagan festival celebrating a birth of a pagan god. And these Catholics said, oh, well, let's just say that that's when Jesus was born and just celebrate Jesus instead. And all these pagans said, okay, we can become Christians if you let us keep our same feast on our same day. So who were these so-called Christians worshiping? Were they worshiping Jesus Christ or were they worshiping these guys? They were worshiping them. So we have a connection of Christmas back to Babylon. Now I'm going to read the two Babylons. Well, actually, I just read everything. So now let's look at Christmas trees, okay? Now that we saw the origin, today, in modern Christmas, they want you to celebrate Christmas trees. Remember, it's not Christmas, it's Christ's math. It's a Catholic made-up holiday in which they took a pagan day, a pagan festival, and put it over here, and they said the Christian church now celebrates the birth of Christ on this pagan festival day, when the true birth of Christ was around September. But they change it to December. You say, well, that's okay, they change it to December. Yes, I understand. He that regardeth the day unto the Lord, let him regard it. You can choose any day you want and think about Jesus. But should you choose a pagan festival day and then change that date for Jesus, wouldn't you still be worshiping that guy? Because that was the date that for centuries and millennia that they worshiped this evil one.
But a lot of the pagans of Rome didn't want to come under the guidelines of Christianity at that time. So Constantine devised a plan and said, you know what? Don't worry about it. You like that Saturnalia? You don't have to give that up. We're going to incorporate that together with Christianity, and we're going to call it Christmas. So therefore, we can have the best of both worlds. We can have you still worshiping the god of Saturn, but all we'll do is we're going to put the face of Christ over it. And when the pagans heard that, they're like, well, we're on board then. If we can still continue to do Saturnalia, then we have no problem joining forces with the Christians.
It's like taking something that is negative and something positive and putting together and celebrating it. Taking something that is negative and taking something that is worse, that is sick, and giving it a name and saying it's okay to do. And folk go ahead and go along with it. We're not going to tell them what's really going on. But what we're going to do is we're going to pepper it up, disguise it, give it a fancy name. Not everybody's going to catch it. You may have some that do catch it. But by that time, we have deceived many. Many will be deceived.
It doesn't surprise me. Santa Claus.
This is Santa Claus, the flying reindeer, and this is the ancient Roman god Saturn or Saturno, flying winged snakes. Sometimes he was depicted with a long white beard and a staff, and sometimes he was depicted with a scythe because he was the god of harvest and also the god of time. In ancient Rome, the people celebrate during December a festival called Saturnalia. Some people had many fun because they had enough to eat and to drink, and other people were not so happy during Saturnalia because they were given as a gift to the god Saturno. In other civilizations, the name for Saturno was Molech or Kronos or Kajamanu.
Jingle bells.
That is the origin of the song called Jingle Bells, a One Horse Open Sleigh by J. Pierpont. It's all about the color with the bells around the necks of the slaves, so the owners could hear when they were trying to flee. You can visit these bells at the Bullock Museum. So it is not a Christmas song for kids. You should read more about James Pierpont. The next time you should think twice before singing this song called Jingle Bells. So when those poor people were trying to flee, and the owners heard the sound coming off the jingle bells, they searched after them on the one-horse open sleigh. Now you know and understand the origin of the song called Jingle Bells on the one-horse open sleigh by Pierpont.
Do you know the dark truth about the holidays you celebrate? Christmas, Easter, Halloween. These holidays are rooted in pagan traditions and false idols. Christmas, celebrated on December 25th, aligns with the pagan festival of Saturnalia, honoring the god Saturn. It's not about the birth of Christ, but rooted in sun worship. Easter, with its eggs and bunnies, stems from pagan celebrations of fertility and the goddess Ishtar. It's not a celebration of the resurrection, but of ancient fertility rituals. Halloween, with its origins in the Celtic festival of Samhain, honors the dead and invokes spirits. It's a night of darkness and satanic rituals. The Bible warns us in Jeremiah 10:2, learn not the way of the heathen, and in Deuteronomy 12:30-31, do not inquire after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Reject these pagan traditions and man-made rituals. Worship only the one true God. Follow his commandments and not the traditions of men.
Hey, Sheldon, are you and Leonard putting up a Christmas tree?
No, because we don't celebrate the ancient pagan festival of Saturnalia.
Saturnalia?
Gather round, kids. It's time for Sheldon's beloved Christmas special.
In the pre-Christian era, as the winter solstice approached and the plants died, pagans brought evergreen boughs into their homes as an act of sympathetic magic intended to guard the life essences of the plants until spring. This custom was later appropriated by Northern Europeans, and eventually it becomes the so-called Christmas tree.
And that, Charlie Brown, is what boredom is all about.